Impact Wrestling Slammiversary is this Sunday, and we haven't really done a TNA pay-per-view in a while because most of them have been Twitch exclusive. Some of them have just been collab shows with other promotions. This is just a legit TNA pay-per-view, um, and it's interesting with a lot of people leaving the promotion, most notably Scarlet Bordeaux recently being released, and several others that I can't remember off the top of my head. But, Impact has kind of been through a lot recently. It's actually been better over the past few months, ever since the new management and the move to Pursuit and everything else. But it's interesting just to see how far they've actually come as a company, actually being a great company for once. If you've seen them over the years, you would understand why I'm saying that. But nonetheless, this is a great card, and we'll get to it right now. First off, Eddie Edwards versus Killer Cross in a First Blood match. Obviously, we haven't seen one in a very long time, unless you've seen on the indies or anything like that. So very simply, if you bleed, you lose. It's that simple. Doesn't matter if it's a cut on the arm. Doesn't matter if it's just traditionally on the skull. Doesn't matter if you cut your knee or whatever. If you bleed, you lose. It doesn't matter where or how the blood comes or where the blood is coming from. Basically, if you bleed, you lose. And I've probably said that a couple times now, but it's very simple. And some people don't understand that blood in wrestling can actually happen. We saw it at Fighter Fest, a very brutal chair shot, one that we haven't seen in quite some time, especially one over the head. Even with a gimmick chair, from what we were told, it is nasty. But if that were to happen, for example, what happened to Cody, for example, that would be a way to win the match. And of course, Eddie Edwards has been kind of psychotic over the past few months, literally naming a kendo stick Kenny, actually getting a new kendo stick from the Sandman of all people, which, I don't know if you've seen the Sandman, but a kendo stick is not far behind. But nonetheless, I will pick Edwards because Cross seems to be on the way out. He hasn't renewed his contract. And much like Scarlett, he'll probably follow her since they're actually in a relationship from what we have seen over the past few months. Next up, Sami Callihan of OVE faces Tessa Blanchard in an intergender singles match. Now, like I said, with the Extreme Rules match, this is actually going to be legitimately an intergender match. It's not going to be WWE Mixed Match Challenge bullshit. It's what we used to see all the time back in the day, a man facing a woman. And something that, unless you're in Lucha, watch Lucha Underground, unless you watch Lucha Underground, or see some indie promotions that have intergender wrestling, you're not going to see it in a modern wrestling era. But Impact have actually used it, especially since Tessa has had great matches with intergender matches, most notably in Wrestle Circus over the past few months. A great match with Cage a couple years ago, from what I remember. But Tessa can honestly be a world champion, and I don't say that about many women because, of course, they're typecast into a women's division, and they just fight for the women's belt, whatever, or it's an indie promotion that's not really that reliable or that credible or has that much prestige. So it's like, of course, let a woman show what she can do and just do what she can do and actually, carry the promotion as a champion. But, Tessa is honestly one of the best wrestlers in the world right now, male or female, regardless of gender, regardless of whatever sexuality people are, transgendered wrestlers, whatever. It doesn't matter what they are. Tessa is one of the best in the world right now. And I feel that this is the match to showcase what she can do in this business. And it's very simple. Tessa wins. It's very simple, but I wouldn't be surprised if OVE get involved, the other members, since they've had trouble with Tessa as well over the past few weeks, even in matches and even just being attacked by Tessa for whatever reason. or them attacking Tessa and Tessa just holding her own. But, you know, Tessa wins. It's that simple. Next up, the LAX's Ortiz and Santana with Conan faces the Rascals, Desmond Xavier and Trey Miguel with Zachary Wentz at ringside. The Rascals over a couple weeks ago almost won the tag team titles, but that match was thrown out due to circumstances of, you know, not being the legal man, using a weapon, just taking out the referee, and the referee coming in, and the original referee reversing the decision. They have had their hands on the titles the past couple of times, and I feel it's their time to win the titles. So I will pick the Rascals to win this match. Next up, a four-way Monsters Ball match for the Impact Knockouts Championship as Taya Valkyrie defends against Rosemary, Su Yung, and the returning Jessica Havoc. Of course, we've seen Havoc over the past few months in WOW, Women of Wrestling, as well as other promotions over the years, and she's been a monster, literally a monster. If you've seen Havoc before, she can go. And for those who have not seen a Monsters Ball match in a very long time, the same rules apply. Anything goes, no disqualification, no countouts. Anything you can think of can be used as a weapon. Doesn't matter if it's tacks, doesn't matter if it's tables, doesn't matter if it's light tubes, doesn't matter if it's whatever. If you can bring it to the ring, you can use it. You could even use the Knockouts title if you wanted to as a weapon. Perfectly legal. I really don't know who would win this one. Especially with Sue's background. Look, actually, all these women's background in hardcore wrestling or just wrestling with relaxed rules, per se. I really don't know. I would pick, if I were to pick somebody, I would pick Rosemary just because, you know, she's had this thing with the Demon Bunny and James Mitchell and Kevin Sullivan and Su Yung and all their undead brides and whatever, and Allie becoming a demon and all this stuff that if you didn't know you were watching, it would sound ridiculous. But if you saw it, it would actually make a lot more sense. And of course, I can't do it justice. But I would pick Rosemary to win the title. But I would also pick Havoc for a dark horse pick, because Havoc has the potential. This is her type of match. Honestly, all these women are great in this type of match, but Havoc has more experience, in my opinion. And I would pick Havoc just because, you know, this is her wheelhouse. This is her kind of match. I could see this happening. Next up, Moose versus Rob Van Dam. Just a regular match. We haven't seen Moose in a while. We've seen him off and on, just doing stuff. He had a Tashiki for whatever fucking reason. I don't know what to tell you about Moose. He's just been there. Rob Van Dam coming back recently, just for whatever reason, just because Impact can sign him, and then Rob wanted to do it. Rob wins, honestly, because as great as Moose is, they haven't used him properly, in my opinion. They've had some peaks and valleys with him, but I just don't know if they would do it the right way with Moose. And Rob, honestly, it's a return match for him, for sure. He's been on Impact a couple weeks, but especially with the ECW talent like Sabu and Sandman and all of them coming over the past few weeks, you know, Dreamer, all of them. But this would be a showcase match for Rob to see if he can still go, and I feel he personally can. And with that, we'll go over the last two matches when we come back.